Even with higher RAM prices, you can build a gaming PC right now for less than $800, capable of playing all the latest titles. Welcome back to PC Builder, I'm Jason. It's time to look at the best gaming CPUs in 2026. We'll take a look at RAM prices, insane RAM combo deals, and game bundles, new X3D CPUs, and we're going to cover the best gaming CPU 2026 at every budget level. Whether you're looking for a budget gaming CPU, the best 1440p gaming CPU, or the ultimate gaming CPU in 2026, we've got the pick for you. If you get value out of this video, please give it a like or subscribe for more cool PC content. Let's jump into it. This video is sponsored by VIP SCD Key. Say goodbye to crazy expensive Windows licenses and that terrible Activate Windows watermark. Right now, use the links in the video description, head over to VIP SCD Key and get a Windows 11 OEM license for a great price. Pick your product license, then use the PC Builder discount code PC25 for an additional 30% off. Go to the activation settings on your PC, put in the code, and boom! Windows is fully licensed for a crazy low price, and they have Microsoft Office licenses too. Use the links in the video description. We will jump into RAM prices and CPU prices in just a second, but first, let's go over a new CPU that just hit store shelves, at least in the US, and that is the Ryzen 5 7500X3D, which you can purchase right now on Amazon for $299. Links to this will be down in the video description. The only concerning thing about this is if we scroll over here, they are kind of getting low in stock already. There's only 19 left in stock. These just went up for sale not too long ago. Jason, what the heck's the 7500X3D? This is a 6-core, not 8-core CPU with the 3D cache on it. Now there is a 7600X3D that was a Micro Center exclusive, and I also believe a Mind Factory exclusive over in Germany. This 7500X3D is a wider distribution. Obviously, you can buy it here on Amazon. Finally, it doesn't come with a cooler of any sort. You will have to get your own thermal solution, and I would recommend probably a dual tower air cooler for the CPU, given the 3D cache is actually on the top of the CPU, so it might be a little more difficult to cool. But let's take a look at the performance. So TechSpot, aka Hardware Unboxed, did a review of the 7500X3D a couple months ago when it was first launched, basically. Now it's finally in the US. What did they find? Does pretty well. It's about 10% faster than the 9600X. This is with an RTX 5090 at 1080p medium. So this is like tons and tons of frames out there. Not bad, not quite as good as the 7800X3D, which we'll take a look at the price in just a moment, because the 9600X, spoiler alert, it's only selling for like $180 right now. You'd have to spend another $120 to come up to the 7500X3D. We'll talk about whether or not that even makes some sense and what price maybe AMD should be pricing this at. Let's jump into RAM pricing right now, and I'm just going to caution you with the prices that you're going to see here. If you can access any of the Newegg combo deals that I'm going to show you a little bit later, they're almost giving you the RAM for free. So don't buy RAM a la carte unless you absolutely have to for some reason. But let's jump into current pricing and previous pricing. This is from our video last month. We found that about a 16 gigabyte kit of DDR4 was $110. 32 gigabyte kit was $190, DDR5 $220 for a 16 gigabyte kit, and 32 gigabytes for $330. You can see those prices have come up anywhere from $25 to $40. Now you can still find deals. I say deals in air quotes. $325 for some of the Crucial RAM. Crucial is Micron's arm that they are shutting down basically to focus on AI server RAM. Some of those kits now are cheaper than other kits from other folks that you can find. Let's jump into some of these RAM combos though, because they're going to blow your mind. We're going to start off with the DDR4 ones, which aren't quite as good as the DDR5. The DDR5 are insane, but we are seeing deals like this. For instance, this is a Ryzen 5500 CPU, perfectly adequate for most kind of lower end to even some mid-range GPUs out there like the 96CXC 16 gigabyte, and you get 32 gigabytes of RAM with it for $200. Like what is going on here? And then we've got one with a B450 motherboard, so you probably want to put a PCIe Gen 3 CPU on it, or you can put a 5600X. And again, 16 gigabytes of RAM on this one, but you get a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. As we all know, NVMe SSDs have come up in price. Tons of other deals as well, including this one right here, which you get quite a bit. 5800 XT CPU. It comes with the Wraith Prism cooler, which is a really nice cooler actually. Comes with one of the best B550 most premium motherboards out there that I used to have. That's the ROG Strix B550-F Gaming Wi-Fi 2. Incredible motherboard, and you get 32 gigabytes of RAM. If you add all this up, if the CPU is about $150 to $200, the motherboard's about $100, $130, you're basically getting the RAM for less than $100, which is crazy to think about for 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM. But let's take a look at the DDR5 combos out there. And let's start off with the 16 gigabyte DDR5 combos. So these are combos where you can either get a single stick of 16 gigabytes. The advantage there is basically you get one stick now. In the future, you buy the identical stick and you get 32 gigs of RAM, because DDR5 systems have a rough time basically running 4-stick combos. DDR4, not so much. You could get a 16 gigabyte DDR4 right now, buy an identical kit in the future, and you will more than likely get that to clock up no problem with 4 sticks on it. DDR5 controllers are just not in the same space. But look at this, Ryzen combo as little as $309 for the motherboard. If you just say the motherboard's $150, that means the RAM kit's only $150. It's like $100 off the RAM kit. But that's not even one of the best combos out there. In fact, the combo that I keep posting is this one for $439. Not only do you get a Ryzen 7600X with it, you get ASRock B650 M Pro RS Wi-Fi motherboard, which is one of my favorite motherboards out there. 7000 series is absolutely fine on ASRock, and frankly, I think they've fixed their issues with the 9000X3D ones. You also get the 16 gigabyte kit DDR5 RAM with RGB on it. You get a liquid cooler, an all-in-one liquid cooler. If you add all this up, and listen, they say their liquid cooler is $85. It's not $85. You can get a similar cooler for like $50. So let's call it $50 for that. Let's call it like $170 or $180 for the Ryzen 7600X, $130 or $120 for the motherboard. Once you add all that up, you're getting the RAM kit for like $70. Like, check my math on that, but like $70. This is like pre-crisis pricing, and you get a great system that you could throw an RX 9070 on or 9070 XT on and have a great PC. Of course, for those of you who also want 32 gigabytes right now, they're also offering a lot of combos with the 9850X3D on them. And the thing is, with AMD, if you do buy a 9000 series X3D CPU, you are also right now getting the Crimson Desert game bundle, which is valued at $70. I think it's the standard edition. I did email AMD because they didn't say anywhere in their announcement, doesn't say in the terms and conditions. So hopefully they'll get back to me on that, but it does seem like it's going to be the standard edition of the game. You can always upgrade it, obviously. And you get a 32 gigabyte kit of V-Color RAM here for basically what? Like if we just say the game is even worth $0, the RAM would be $250. If we value the game bundle in there, the RAM kit comes out to basically be like $180, which is really crazy. All right, jumping over to AMD Ryzen CPU pricing for February 2026. And you can see the last time we looked at this was Black Friday. So those prices in Black Friday are probably going to be better, but you're going to see tale of two CPU prices basically. Anything using DDR4 has gone up in price. The pre-built makers out there are actively grabbing these as fast as they can. That's why the prices have gone up. And anything that uses DDR5 is tending to fall in price right now, obviously because RAM prices are out of whack. Let's start with the Ryzen 5500, down to $70 right now over at Newegg. It's with a $20 promo code off. Typically is selling for like $90 though, so just FYI on that one. If you want like a Ryzen 5600, you can buy one through a third-party seller on Newegg, Senitech. I get these all the time. $145 for the box version with the Ray Stealth cooler. If you just want the tray CPU, you can get it for like $125 instead. 5800 XT, 5700X, obviously increase in price, although we did just show you the 5800 XT combo deal, which was pretty good. And then moving over to AM5 CPUs. So these are all DDR5 CPUs, starting with like the Ryzen 5 CPUs, 7500F. It is back in stock now over at Newegg, $159. That's to get the box version with the cooler. You can also get the tray version for like $14 left. I'd probably get this because that cooler is perfectly adequate for it. If you're looking for more like a Ryzen 7600X, 9600X, the prices on those have come down as well. Newegg right now is also selling those bundled for just a little bit more with an all-in-one liquid cooler. It's the MagCore Liquid A13 240. They say it's $85. It's not $85. It's like a $50 cooler. So let's just call it a $50 cooler, but obviously that means you're getting the CPU for like $150, although they have the 9600X at the same price right now. So obviously you get the 9600X because it's a slightly faster CPU. We already looked at the price for the 7500X 3D. 7700X kind of maintains its pricing over at $248. Again, little rough for the 9000 series though. We go to the 9700X. $313 AMD, you better drop the price. That CPU is just not worth it. 7500X3D, excuse me, is the better CPU. The higher end CPUs like the 9850X3D, which right now is $499 or $443, and you do get the Crimson Desert game with any Ryzen 9000 X3D CPU. Just make sure it's in your cart at the time of checkout. Newegg's really good about that. Amazon, not so much. Moving over to Intel, obviously the big trend here is anything that uses DDR4, that's 12th, 13th, or 14th gen, massive price increases. That's because pre-built makers are vacuuming those up, paying an extra 30 or 40 bucks for the CPU. That's a very small price premium to charge to not have to use DDR5 RAM. They're using DDR4 on a lot of them right now, and they're grabbing these CPUs. Meanwhile, the Core Ultra 200 CPUs, which we are going to get a refresh, I hear, but right now, those CPUs, small price discounts. I will say right now, Intel, you're not doing a very good job on the combo deals, although I'm starting to see a couple filter out in Newegg, but AMD's all over that. You really got to jump on that right now. All right, let's jump into the best gaming CPU 2026 in February and the best production CPU in 2026 in February. And if you're not familiar with how we do this, we basically have this big spreadsheet and we take the cost of the CPU, the cost of the RAM kit, the cost of the motherboard, and the cooler. We come up with a platform cost. Then we divide that either by its gaming score or its production score, and we get a price to performance. We're going to divvy these CPUs up by budget, mid-range, and higher end for both gaming and production. I've got production right here. You can jump into the spreadsheet. By the way, it's linked down in the video description. You can change the prices to your local pricing if you're in a different region. You can change the configurations to use another motherboard or a different kind of cooler or anything else you want as well. A couple changes for this year. For gaming, we're going back to 16 gigabyte configurations. That's what we used to use. We changed that obviously when 32 gigabyte kits became kind of ubiquitous and almost the same price. Obviously, that's not a reality in 2026. If you still want 32 gigabytes, the good news is it's a fixed cost. It's about $100 for either DDR4 or DDR5. It doesn't really affect the stack ranking of the CPUs. The other thing is, obviously, I'm not taking into account any of the Newegg combos out there. Obviously, if you see an insane combo deal, that's probably better than what we're going to show here, so just jump on it. Let's jump in the best budget gaming CPU 2026 February, and this is where the total platform price used to be $450. I did raise it $50 to $500. I don't really think I needed to do so. Look at the pricing on a lot of this stuff. It's actually pretty good. And this is before any kind of crazy combo deals. We already seen some of those. Check those out, link down in the video description. Let's start off with my number one recommendation is the Ryzen 5500. Now there are some caveats to this, but insanely cheap. It's PCIe Gen 3 only. It's basically a 5600G with the integrated graphics disabled on it. It runs like a Ryzen 3600, so pretty decent gaming performance to it. And you can use it with a cheaper B450 motherboard if you want to find one of those out there, although they're about the same price as the cheaper B550s, DDR4 RAM, and you can use that stock cooler with it. I would pick up a GPU like a 9060 XT, 8 gigabyte or 16 gigabyte that doesn't limit the PCIe bandwidth to only half the connector like a lot of NVIDIA GPUs and unfortunately the Intel budget ones, although it will probably be fine for like an RB 570. Pick up a 9060 XT 16 gigabyte with it, and you can have a phenomenal gaming system for about $900 right now, capable of playing all the latest titles at 1440p. Would I look at anything else on this list after that? I mean, maybe I'd spend a little bit more for the 5600, 5600X, 5600T, or 5600 XT, get one of those. Possibly that combo deal with the 5800 XT is also really nice with 32 gigs of RAM, super high-end motherboard. If I wanted to spend a little bit more on my system, grab that. You could probably even pair that with a much higher-end GPU. Those are really the ones I'd look at. Unfortunately, Intel, you got to do something about your pricing here. It's just not competitive. All right, jumping over the best mid-range production CPU in 2026. So this is where the multi-core score is 170 or greater. I have raised the price from $750 up to $900. You can tell me whether or not I needed to do that because it really doesn't change the top score. I could have probably gone to $850 here. The Core Ultra 7 265K just kind of dominates as long as we don't take into account future upgradability, right? Because it's not future upgradability. Yes, of course, there's going to be a refresh, but you're not going to want to upgrade from whatever that is to the refresh CPU. We'll have to see what those CPUs look like in terms of when they come out. Maybe you want to wait for that. We'll talk about that in buy now or wait. With Ryzen, you will be able to upgrade to both Zen 6 and the rumor is Zen 7 as well on AM5. So that 7900X for $338 with 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM, a quality motherboard as well, and a mid-tower air cooler comes in about $70 more. But again, for that $70, you're getting a quite good production system, not quite as good as the 265K, and about equal gaming performance. So that's something to consider. Moving over to the best mid-range gaming CPU in February 2026. So this is where the gaming score is 125 or greater. And the total price, I've raised this up from $650 to $700. Looking at the total platform price, probably didn't need to do that. The only CPU that squeaks in here is the Ultra 7 265K. It's interesting to see where it ranks. It's not a great gaming CPU. It just has lower gaming performance, about a Ryzen 7600X level of performance. The 245K, I just wouldn't pick up at all. But let's talk about the CPUs you should be focused on right now. Any of the Ryzen 5 CPUs, 9600X, 7600X. The 7500F, the only reason I would probably shy away from that right now is because I'm not seeing combos with them, and combos are insane. However, if you pick up a motherboard RAM combo like a B650, B650E, or B850 motherboard with a good RAM combo on it, yeah, then maybe the 7500F just to save some money, because again, the gaming performance difference isn't that huge, and any of those CPUs, you're going to be able to put like a 5070, a 9070, 9070 XT GPU. I'd grab any of those CPUs. Would I consider anything else here? 14600K yesterday was $300, today it's $229. Pricing super volatile, but you can use it with DDR4 RAM. So that is one thing to consider. You could do DDR4 RAM, it would cost you $100 less basically, or you could just go with 32 gigs of DDR4. You do lose about 10% of the gaming performance by going DDR4, so that would put it underperforming the 7600X, but not that by that much. Otherwise, I just wouldn't look at anything else. I think the 7700X doesn't really make any sense. And AMD, where's that 7500X 3D? It should be on this list. It's too expensive. Moving over to high performance production CPUs in 2026, this is where the multi-core score is 250 or greater. And I do want to caution that this is stack ranked by price to performance. However, if you're looking for the maximum performance, you may want to look a little bit further down the list. And of course, as always, this is Cinebench R23 scores. So just note that, for instance, the Core Ultra CPUs dominate that. However, in some of the real world applications, they don't do quite as well as the Ryzen counterparts. In others, they do quite well. But the 265K price to performance wise continues to dominate. I mean, AMD really does need to do something about the pricing of its higher core count CPUs like the 9950X, the 9900X. These are not great gaming CPUs because the X3D CPUs are cheaper than them, obviously. We'll talk about the gaming in just a second. From a core count perspective, though, they just do need to come down. The 9900X is the one that I would look at if you're kind of more value-oriented. The 9950X is hard to justify over even a 9950X 3D because you're already spending $1,100. Why not spend another $145 and get the 9950X 3D and just get all the performance out there, even anything that'll benefit from that 3D V-cache on it. Other than that, I mean, you could consider waiting for Arrow Lake refresh that will probably top this chart in the coming months. And of course, we also know that there will be Nova Lake CPUs and Zen 6 CPUs later this year. Those are possibly other things you might want to wait for. We'll talk about that in should you buy now or should you wait. All right, jumping to the best high performance gaming CPU in 2026 in February. And this is where the gaming score is 145 or greater, no price limit. It's no surprise that the 9800X 3D is on top of this right now, but what about the 9850X 3D that just came out for about $60 more right now? I guess, what is that, $56 more. The gaming scores are very close. It's basically 3% faster with a RTX 5090 at 1080p. Would you see that difference at 1440p? Likely not. Maybe you'll see it with a future like 6090, but you can't see it with a 5090. So maybe there will be some performance difference. We saw that with the 7800X 3D, for instance, when the 3090 was out. When we got a 4090, we saw it was actually quite a bit faster than we thought. What other CPUs would I consider? Well, honestly, anything I can get a Newegg combo deal with right now, or any kind of RAM combo deal. The 9850X 3D seems to be the focus of that. And those Ryzen 9000X 3D CPUs are also coming with that Crimson Desert game combo. It looks like a really fun game, by the way. It's based on the developer who did Black Desert, which is a really popular online game. So maybe that's interesting to you, maybe it's not. Let's complain a little bit about some CPU prices, AMD. The 7500X 3D, even at $299, too expensive. The 7800X 3D, even at $384, it's too expensive. They need to come down to have any kind of niche in the market, especially right now with DDR5 RAM pricing the way it is. I would love to see those CPUs come down into the $249 range for the 7500X 3D, and honestly, like $320 at most for the 7800X 3D before I would consider buying that. For those of you who have to have like all the things, the 9950X 3D for $675 just makes a ton of sense. That's the one I would go with. If you also are a high performance production user, Will we get a dual V-cache version of that? And will it even matter if we get it? We'll talk about that in a second. Otherwise, for most gamers, I think looking for high performance, I would go 9850X3D, get a combo deal with the game and everything, kind of take it home. All right, let's play everyone's favorite game. Should you buy now or should you wait? Well, I want to start off by talking about some of the doomerism that's going on in the PC space right now. And some of that is justified, absolutely justified. And we've seen RAM prices, for instance, go up by about $200 to $250 for a 32 gigabyte kit of DDR5. That feels bad. We've also seen SSD prices go up by about $100 for a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. Basically, it's $150 right now instead of $50. Now, both those prices, both for the SSDs and for the RAM, were at historic lows. So we could give a little bit there, but it does definitely feel like a little bit of a sting when you're paying $300 more for a build this year than you would have paid last year. But I do want to say right now, you can build a gaming PC for less than $800. A good one, capable of playing all the latest titles at high frame rates at 1080p or 1440p, at least medium to high settings, right, with an Arc B570. And despite the higher prices, we still see that you can build a gaming PC that really crushes gaming for not a ton of money. Anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000 is still really fertile territory. I'd say $1,000 is entirely possible right now with a GPU like a 9060 XT 16 gigabyte. You can do great things right now. It's not the GPU crisis, and that's why I'm a little at a loss for words when I keep saying like the end is here, is PC gaming over? Like folks, we survived the GPU crisis. That's when an RTX 3060 was $1,000. You couldn't buy it at retail because all the scalpers were buying it because all the miners, GPU miners for Ethereum were buying them up at any insane price. You couldn't build a gaming PC even with an RTX 3060 for like less than $2,000. And that's crazy. We're nowhere near that situation right now. So I get that it feels really bad because we just went through this big golden era of PC building, which I kind of predicted, by the way, during the GPU shortage. I told you we were going to enter that era because we went from shortages to surpluses. And right now we're in this kind of AI flux of they seem to be gobbling everything up. However, that does seem to be ending. And I talked a little bit about that in our best GPU video, which you should definitely watch. And let me know in the comments if you want me to do a video on where I see the AI bubble, because I do see it bursting this year. I thought there might be a chance of it happening in January with some of the earnings reports coming out. It seems like there has been caution and a lot of the smart players are getting out of the AI business, smart investors. However, there's enough idiots out there throwing their money at it yet. I think really we're going to need at least one, possibly two more rounds of earning reports, so 3 to 6 months from now, before people realize that they just never going to recover the amount of AI spend that they're doing right now, even if they got $50 or $100 from every iPhone user on the planet right now, they wouldn't be able to recover it. So I do think that's going to end. In the meantime, what does all that mean for you? You want to build a gaming PC, you want to upgrade your current gaming PC, I think you should go ahead and do it. I don't see a reason, especially if you can take advantage of these combo deals. And last year we had a GPU shortage because none of the GPUs had launched yet. RAM pricing is obviously going to keep ticking up. I think that's the key thing. It's not going to rocket ship up. It's going to keep ticking up. I think it's the same for SSD pricing. And by the time the AI bubble bursts and pricing comes back to normal, because they're going to have to switch production from AI stuff to consumer stuff, it's going to be another 2 years, I think, before we see prices kind of come back to where they were. In the meantime, is pricing objectively bad given the history of the GPU crisis? No. So if you want to build a gaming PC, it's not your job to fix the entire CPU, RAM, and all those other markets. It's not your job. If you want to build a gaming PC, go build a gaming PC, and you can do it right now for as little as $800. So I would recommend at literally every budget level, especially if you can take advantage of these combo deals, go for it. And I'm going to link them down in the video description. I want you to check those out. If you want to wait, that's also okay. I would just ask you, what are you waiting for? Like, what event is going to happen to have better pricing than we have right now? I don't see it happening for at least a year, maybe even longer than that, but who knows? What are your thoughts on all of our CPU picks at every budget level? Let me know down in the comments. Of course, I've also got all the deals linked down there, including those Newegg combo deals, which change quite often, so check those out for current pricing and availability. If you got value out of this video, please give it a like. It makes a huge difference to the channel, and subscribe for more cool PC content. Like, did you check out the best GPUs to buy right now, February 26th? Check these GPUs out right now. Don't wait too long. Or the best CPU, GPU combos in 2026. Check them out, and we'll catch you on the next one.